What if you had two fathers, one rich, one poor, and they both loved you, but they gave you completely different advice about money, success, and life? That was Robert Kiyosaki's world. His poor dad, his biological father, had a PhD, worked for the government, and believed in education above all, but he always struggled financially. His rich dad, his best friend's father, never finished high school, but he built businesses, bought real estate, and became one of the wealthiest men in Hawaii. Robert grew up listening to both, and he noticed something. The more he followed his poor dad's path, the more broke he felt. But every time he followed rich dad's advice, he grew. This is not just a story about money. It's a story about choices, about beliefs, about freedom, and how the way you think shapes the way you live. Robert was only 9 years old when he first started asking questions. At school, he got good grades, but he noticed something strange. His dad was educated, but always stressed about money. He'd come home frustrated after work, talk about promotions, rising costs, school fees. "Money isn't everything," his father would say, "but we need to cut back this month." Then, he'd visit his best friend Mike's house and see the opposite. Mike's father owned restaurants, shops, and properties. He wasn't college educated, but he was calm, confident, generous. Robert started wondering, why do some people work hard and stay poor, while others seem to grow richer with every year? And so he decided to learn from both of them. One Saturday morning, Robert asked both his dads, "What should I do to become rich?" Poor dad said, "Study hard, get a government job, work your way up." Rich dad said, "Start learning how money works, buy assets, build businesses." Poor dad said, "Money is the root of all evil." Rich dad said, "Lack of money is the root of all evil." Their beliefs clashed at every step, even small things like how to spend a dollar. Poor dad believed in saving for emergencies. Rich dad believed in investing for freedom. Poor dad believed in job security. Rich dad believed in financial education. Robert was stuck in the middle. But slowly, he began to notice what worked and what didn't. Robert loved his real dad. He was a good man, but month after month, the same pattern repeated. Salary came in, bills came out, car broke down, new loan, more stress. He'd say things like, "We can't afford that. I'm not interested in money. The government should take care of people." Robert noticed something deep. His dad was intelligent, but financially blind. He worked hard, but money always slipped away. He didn't own any businesses, no stocks, no real estate, just one income and lots of fear. That fear made him stay quiet at work. That fear made him avoid risk, and that fear kept him poor. One day after school, Robert and his friend Mike sat under a tree. They had just seen Mike's dad driving a new truck, while Robert's dad was complaining about bills again. Robert turned to Mike and asked, "How is your dad getting richer, while mine works just as hard?" Mike paused. "I don't know, but let's ask him." So the next day, they went to Mike's father, the man who would become Robert's rich dad, and said, "Can you teach us how to become rich?" The man looked at them, smiled, and said nothing for a few seconds. Then he said, "If you want to learn, I'll teach you, but it won't be easy, and I won't pay you much." Robert and Mike looked at each other, confused but excited. And so, their lessons began. Not in a classroom, not from a textbook, but in real life. To teach him about money, Rich Dad gave Robert a job. He had to clean shelves in one of Rich Dad's stores. Pay? 10 cents an hour. Robert was furious. "This is unfair. You're rich, and you're paying me nothing." Rich Dad smiled and said, "Good. Now you feel what most people feel all their life. They hate their job, feel underpaid, but keep working because they fear being broke." He paused and said, "If you let emotions control your thinking, you'll always be a slave to money." It hit Robert hard. That job wasn't about cleaning shelves. It was about learning how the world really works. One afternoon, Rich Dad pulled out a sheet of paper. On the left, he wrote, "Assets." On the right, "Liabilities." Then he explained, "Assets put money in your pocket, even when you sleep. Liabilities take money out, even when you don't use them." He gave examples. Asset, a rental apartment that gives you monthly income. Liability, a car loan that needs monthly payments. He said, "Poor people buy stuff, rich people buy assets." That changed everything. Robert began looking at every purchase in a new way. Does this make me richer or poorer? Poor Dad saved up for years to buy a house. He called it his biggest investment, but Rich Dad disagreed. If your house takes money every month, mortgage, repairs, taxes, and give you no return, it's not an asset. Robert watched them argue, but over time he saw it. His poor dad's house drained money. Rich Dad's apartments brought cash in. He learned, it's not what you own that matters. It's what your assets earn for you. At school, Robert learned about history, math, and science, but never taxes, never investing, never business. He asked, why don't schools teach money? Rich Dad said, because schools are designed to create workers, not entrepreneurs. If you want to be rich, learn from real life. Learn from those who've done it. So Robert started reading financial books, listening to business owners, watching how money moved. That became his real education. Poor Dad believed in loyalty. Work hard, retire with a pension. Rich Dad said, jobs are temporary, skills are forever. He encouraged Robert to try sales jobs, start small businesses, learn leadership, learn from failure. Every skill you master becomes a tool in your wealth toolbox. Robert realized, you don't get rich by working harder, you get rich by thinking smarter. Rich Dad warned about two emotions. Fear makes people stay in jobs they hate. Greed makes them buy things they can't afford. He said, people go to work, fear they won't pay bills, get their salary, spend it all on things they don't need, and repeat the cycle. Robert called it the rat race. Rich Dad said, if you want to be free, you must master your emotions, learn to wait, learn to grow. Robert started small, saved money from part-time jobs, bought comic books in bulk and sold them at school. Later, invested in small real estate deals. People laughed at him, said he was taking too many risks. But Robert remembered Rich Dad's words. Don't wait to invest. Invest, then learn. With every deal, he grew smarter. Not every step was a success, but every step brought experience. Two dads, two different paths. One taught him how to survive. The other taught him how to live free. One said, get a safe job. The other said, build your freedom. Robert made his choice, and now, so can you. You're only one decision away from a completely different life. Learn, invest in yourself, make money your servant, not your master. Start your journey to financial freedom today. If you liked this video, please like, share, and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow. And don't forget to click the bell icon for more videos like this. Thank you for watching.